Fresno, California today.
Okay, sometimes I hold my breath, yeah. I don't got no time to spare. I could go my way, go yours. You see real life, I see toys. I don't got no time to spare.
What's up, everybody? It's Steph the Pharaoh. I'm here with a special guest today on this beautiful Monday, a couple days after the New Year, January 4th. It's a great day today. I'm feeling blessed. I'm grateful that Shane was able to come to Visalia today. Shane's here for Luxic Vue Mindset. I had a few pre-recorded episodes that I wanted to air, but I was feeling a little bit spontaneous, and I just want to bring you something current. Not to take away from any of the guests that are soon to be on. I just thought this video should air right away. Shane was actually supposed to be guest number 2 in Luxic Vue Mindset. We had filmed the whole video, but some things happened behind the scenes. There was little family circumstances that I had to take care of. And so I didn't actually air that episode, and this was back in November. But it's been well overdue. I wanted to bring Shane back on. This is episode number 8 of Luxic Vue Mindset. Shane, thanks again, brother, for showing up. Prior to the last interview, Shane was actually living in San Diego, and he was about to move back down to the Valley. He's living in roughly, I think, Porterville, Springville area, right? Kind of by Lake Success in a way. He's living out there. But I wanted to bring him back. Now he's in town. Now everything is changing for him, and he has a very powerful story, and I kind of want to dive into that. But Shane, how you been, man?
Good, man. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it. Round 2.
No problem. Yeah, round 2. Gonna get this one.
Have
right.
The encore presentation, I guess. But just moved back. It's pretty good so far. You know, I'm just kind of enjoying the transition and being with family, being around friends again. Old friends and stuff like that. But it's been a crazy year.
Heck yeah.
Right?
2020.
Crazy year for everybody. Crazy year for myself. Crazy year for you. Everybody. So I've just enjoyed the last couple of months. Really, the last month, December, November. The holidays and enjoying it with majority of my family, and just traveling around the family and stuff like that. Catching up, and just super grateful, super thankful, and excited for this year for sure. So.
I think everybody is, man. I posted something the other day, and it was saying how 2020 was the year of you learned it, basically, now apply it. And not to say that we're perfect or anything, but I think we can all extract a few lessons that 2020 has brought us, and just try to apply it this year. Try to be more present in our relationships. There's many things going on. There's many things. Life is ongoing. That's the crazy part, is that once you think you mastered something, there's always room for improvement in any direction. And when you don't look at that, it can be detrimental to those around you, to yourself, and we all probably get caught in our own issues. But Shane's been a really good friend of mine. I'm actually reluctant to know his story, and like I said, I'm grateful to have him on. But Shane, just for the audience listening, what sparked you to come back? I know you've been gone for a long time. I know there was Sacramento, and then you've gone to San Diego, and now you're back in the Valley.
I've been gone since 2014, tail end of that. Got an opportunity to work in insurance up in Sacramento, so took the opportunity. I was working at Wendy's, fellow Wendy's.
Okay.
Crewman here. And
this was in high school, right?
No. I didn't get my first job until actually the day I turned 19 was my first day working at Wendy's. That was my birthday gift.
Oh, wow.
So I worked there for exactly 11 months. And that Thanksgiving of 2014, I had a cousin who was working for insurance, and the company was doing really well, and he's like, yeah, we're hiring, and blah, blah, blah. At that time, it'd be $3 more an hour I was making, and it was full-time, benefits, PTO, the whole nine, so I was super excited for that. So got to Sacramento, was there for about 2 years, and then moved to San Diego right around the time you did. We literally moved the exact same, I think.
I didn't believe him when he told me that he was moving down there. I think I was down there. I had only been down there for about a week, and he messaged me out of nowhere saying, hey, where are you at? And he had known that I lived in Fresno at this time, so I was thinking like he was in Fresno, he's going to contact me. But it turned out he was in San Diego too, and I was like, hey, bro, I actually just moved to San Diego. And he's like, no way, where are you at? And so that was an interesting time. I mean, we worked together out there. I mean, we've gotten to know each other, though, over the years. We went to high school together, but aside from that, we were in network marketing together. That's kind of like where we got our start as far as personal development goes. I learned a lot in that early stage, at least, as far as growing, personal growth, reading books about business, reading books about how to, the book by, I think it's Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah, that's a good book. There are many things that we can learn and take away from just all of these different elements of personal development. But anyway, I'll get carried off on talking personal development all day. But I really like Shane's story. I've gotten to know him, like I said, very, very deep throughout the years. We were a part of each other's lives as far as like struggles go. You saw me. Probably like my lower points.
Trying to, for sure. I mean, I think the thing is that, we were in network marketing together, and we ended up becoming kind of the laughing stock of the valley, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
in a sense, right? From a lot of people we grew up with. I mean, for me, you had already graduated high school. A little bit different for you. For me, and like Silas and some other people, we were. My senior year was revolved around it, and I got.
Oh, you were still.
I burned a lot of bridges. A lot of people were like, thought very differently of me, negatively, right? When I graduated, and and whatnot, and so I, that's kind of followed, and then I moved away.
Yeah.
Right. Literally a year later, I was still trying to pursue the whole network marketing, and then moved to Sacramento. So I haven't been back in 6 years.
Oh shoot!
And so coming back is kind of like it's been interesting.
I see what you're saying.
But a lot of people have kind of followed me throughout the years too, because they kind of see the journey, a little bit through social media. But people like you, Cy, a handful of others, my best friend Joseph Mitchell, we've all just stayed in contact, and we've all just kind of really been there for each other through the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. When we were in San Diego, we had some super low points. And we're down in San Diego, and you live in a big, big city, a lot of opportunity, which is great. But we moved down there, and we were making $13 an hour
for starters. Yeah,
and we couldn't even eat off that. I mean, I was in the hole.
Yeah, I was too, moving to San Diego.
And my rent was like minimal compared to everybody else's. I think mine was like $350 or something because I had family. But I mean, what brought me back was I've kind of learned. I've been out for 6 years. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. I'm nowhere near. It's just the beginning, right? That's
for sure.
That's what the journey is all about. So the big reason why I came back is, well, number one, my business is here. What I do is, basically flip houses and stuff. And I've been doing that from San Diego for the past basically 2 years now. And so it's really exciting to be able to be back here and be able to just do that much more, you can only do so much when you're virtual, is what we call it, not in the area. So I'm really excited to be back here and really put some groundwork in and just be able to do so much more than what I'm doing. And family, big thing. Well, literally all my family's here. And I have some other family that's moving into the area as well. So it's just a really exciting time. Got that, and then, of course, the majority of my friends are here too. So that's kind of what really sparked everything. And then from a financial point, it's just so much cheaper, and I want to travel a lot. So being able to just have kind of have a home base that's not costing me an arm and a leg,
like San Diego. Right?
Like I was down in San Diego. Beautiful, right? Beautiful place. I mean, you were there. You saw where I lived, but it's $2,500 a month to be in a place like that.
Yeah.
And it's only a 2-bedroom little condo thing, so nothing crazy.
A pretty decent sized house around here, even in Fresno.
Oh yeah.
Kind of cost,
Oh yeah.
Or buy. I mean,
with the pool and this and that,
yeah.
The whole nine. So
depends on what you want, but I can totally vouch for that, man. I mean, my time in San Diego was very similar. I can often say, like with me, you, and even Michael, our buddy Michael Cuevas, at that time it was like, all right, no excuses. Like I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to fix what I got going on. And that's what I saw San Diego as, an opportunity to kind of get away and do me with no distractions. I mean, we both did Uber and Lyft on top of
we hustled,
working.
Man.
Yeah,
we really got to feel the struggle and the hustle just to kind of get by in a big city. But we met a lot of great people. We made a lot of great contacts, and we learned even more. And I think you venture out into a big city. I really feel that anybody and everybody should venture out into a big city.
Right, at least once.
Just once to kind of get the just the feel, the taste, get the taste for it. Because you really start to appreciate a lot more of the little things, especially around here. Being in San Diego, everything is so cluttered and tight. Just like many big cities, LA, San Fran. And you start to appreciate, man, just having some land, having a backyard is a big thing.
Yeah, especially out there, like you're saying. But I kind of want to go back a little bit because I know your story. There's a lot of people that don't. So me and Shane, we went to Porterville High together. That's where we met. We were in the drumline. Good old drumline days, PHS, Panther Band. That was an experience in and of itself, man. I mean, we could do a YouTube series or a podcast just on that experience, but I don't
might have to one day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
bring some drummers back in. Yeah,
I don't think anybody will believe like all of the ridiculous stories and kind of just hear how we were, bro. Because I feel like I've changed over and 100%. Over and over again over those years. I mean, it's been for me about a decade now. It's crazy to even say.
What's funny is that, like I've told, some people like Jan and Kay and all them, that like in high school, we really weren't even close.
Yeah, no, not
we
at all.
really didn't even hang out. We were on the drumline together, but it wasn't until after high school and being in network marketing together was when we really started to bond more. And I think it's just really the mindset thing.
Seriously,
the goals and what we're trying to pursue in life.
That's what I wanted to bring up because you were saying that in a way that people kind of laughed and mocked, but that's because a lot of people fear change. They fear, hey, this person is doing something different. And in a way, I can honestly say for me that this is how it's affected me in some ways. When we see other people doing things or trying to do things, we try to automatically like belittle them to make ourselves feel good. And I feel like that's what a lot of people do unwillingly and unknowingly. And they just kind of talk bad and try to tear you down as you're trying to become or trying to like rise up from where you're at. And, I mean, that's anybody. And that just goes to show like there's been many people that have even spoken on the show. Like you got to change up your environments, but it's hard when you're in it and you're in high school or you're doing these things because you're often going to be ridiculed for anything that you do because you don't fit in or you're going and doing something different that no one else is doing.
I think, I totally understand that. I agree. I think a lot of people, especially being in a small town like Porterville and things like that, Visalia and all that stuff, it's, we all grew up kind of the same way, similarly, and we just, in high school, it's high school.
Yeah.
It's the status, and when you go against the grain, you're kind of viewed as crazy, or just off. And
Seriously.
but it's funny because that's what they say about a lot of these guys like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and all these these people have changed the game on what they're, how things are done. I mean, it's crazy to think that, like I was telling my dad the other day, like, because he can't stand AT&T now, and he's like, well, they're too big to fail, and I was like, well, that's not true, because Nokia, they said the same thing about Nokia. They're too big to fail, and where are they at?
They didn't innovate.
Where are they at? So, Apple came in and killed it. So, it's been a fun ride for sure. It just brings you, as long as you have the resiliency to continue to pursue what we're pursuing, our dreams and goals and whatnot, financial freedom, I guess, and you just start to eventually, those people or certain people, they start to reach out, the ones that are like-minded, and that's all we're trying to do is find the right people to be around at the right time at the right place, and
planting seeds.
And it eventually, we start to learn things, and you hear about this guy doing this, and then you start learning more about what he's doing, and all of a sudden you start doing it, and then you're making money, and then everyone's making money, and it's just everyone's having a good time and enjoying life, and it's kind of how it's worked for you, right, with the solar industry and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, one connection after another.
Yeah.
You just kind of get plugged in. I mean, I've been kind of back and forth, just focusing on different things, but I would say during the midst of the whole virus pandemic, when it started, I was kind of let go, and I talked about that in a video called Lessons of 2020, link it back to a video on my YouTube page. But I didn't know what I was going to do yet again, man. I mean, 2019, you were helping me market for wholesaling properties, basically. I mean, we were marketing for motivated sellers, and I spent a decent amount of money on that, and I thought that my life would have went that way. I didn't hone in on that. I continued to also work for the construction company that I was at, and when the pandemic happened, I wasn't all that confident in trying to spend more money marketing when I had leads, and I got stuck in a spot of like fear. Yeah. And I went back to what I know, and it was solar, everything else. One contact led to another, and people started actually calling me saying, hey, are you still selling solar? And I was like, let me call you back. I can, but give me a sec. I'm busy. I'd make a phone call really quick to Anthony Bonilla, and I was like, hey, how quick can you get me on? Like I got a couple leads and put me through, and within a week or two, like I closed the deal. So I mean, it's interesting how life turns out. You might not want it to go in a direction, and you might be putting all your energy in that direction, but sometimes God has a different plan for you, and I'm not going to say that I couldn't have tried harder in that endeavor, because I still believe that, number one, real estate is, that's why I bought a duplex, and that's why you're in real estate too. You do something a little bit different, but it'll all unfold within time. Plans change. Keep your goals, though. Don't lower your targets. That's what I would say. But Shane, it's crazy, because back in 2017 when we went on this endeavor, I remember you were like, I'm going to go all in. And that's one thing I admire about you, because you're like, nah, screw that. Like, he'll get to this story in a second, but he was just mainly talking about, I'm going to leave. I'm going to just ditch my job. Like, I got no money coming in. Real estate, like that's what his mind was on. And I was like, wow. I was kind of like scared. I was an insurance agent at this time. I was doing personal lines, auto and home insurance, and I had a decent pay. I had benefits. I got to work from home whenever I wanted. Like I was plugged into a neat little system, and I didn't want to leave. I was comfortable. Yeah. And I was like, oh, what can I do to like outside on my part time, like my spare time? And we came up with this idea, me, him, and my brother Silas Pacheco, who's on Luxic Vue Mindset #1. Yeah. Episode #1. We were like, real estate. Silas wasn't an insurance agent yet. Shane and I we didn't invest really in real estate yet. Spent a little bit of money, got to that point. But I mean, let's hear it from you though. What was your perspective of that whole situation that we at that time?
It was funny because when you brought it up to us, I was like, oh shit, I remember this. I got I got some free thing off, from a Facebook ad or something like that. And this was 2 years prior. I was in Sacramento when I got this. And I barely opened it, and I'm like, this looks dumb. Didn't even give it a chance. But when he brought it up again, I was like, oh shit, like I had that. And it's funny because over the years, I've been subjected to real estate. Like, it's like real estate. In my face, it's like, seriously, real estate. Like it was funny because when I was looking for a job back when I was 18, going to be 19.
They want you to be a bird dog?
So, no. So my dad was like, why don't you, you want to be in sales and stuff. And that was back when I went to every dealership in town in Porterville, tried to get a sales job at the car dealerships. And they're like, no. They're like, what's your experience? And I'm like, I've done network marketing with no success.
So, yeah.
It's funny, but so my dad was like, why don't you meet with my real estate agent? And so I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I go meet with her, I sit down with her, and in her office, she's got paper everywhere. Paperwork is everywhere.
It's all unorganized?
It's not unorganized, it just stacks of stuff everywhere. And she's like, basically the offer was intern with me for 2 years, with me paying you nothing, and you'll learn the business. And she's like, because the majority of this business is paperwork. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. Because I'm 18, I'm broke as a joke, and I need to make money. So how am I supposed to make money working for you for free? Makes no sense. I was like, okay, so that was the first exposure to it, though, real estate.
Yeah.
So it was a bad taste, And then I got exposed again right when I bought the thing, and then you brought it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, we need to do this. So that's why I was really excited, because this was the third time now I've been exposed. So I'm like, okay, this is a sign, right? Like, so I was excited. We did our thing. We spent a hair bit of money. It was really you, right? I think you were the one that only spent money. So
yeah,
because no one else had money. You just sold your house. That was what it was.
And I had a little bit of money. We invested in mailers. We did like one.
It was like
we did one run of mailers.
500
and
pieces of mail. Nothing.
What we should have done is broke that initial investment into a few months or campaigns, but we didn't know any better. I didn't know any better.
We didn't know anything. So big learning lesson. But we were all kind of on our own paths, right? So. But I was very intrigued by what we were doing. I really wanted to do it. I was really passionate about it. But we were all kind of doing our own thing. That was when you got into getting an insurance, so you were pretty busy doing that. And then Cy was doing CarMax, I think, selling cars, and I think he was still going to school that time.
He was.
And then he was getting married and all this stuff. So it's just life, right? This life is happening. But for me, I was doing, different job after different job, and then I got this nice corporate job up in UTC area, which is in San Diego. It's La Jolla area. It's really nice. And I was like, at that time, it was starting at like $20 an hour or something. So at that time, that was most I'd been making, and was pretty excited. But it was just like a no. I mean, you had to think a lot with that job because you were talking with financial brokers and answering their questions and helping them out. So, anyways, it was the safe gig, is what the whole thing was. It was the safe corporate world job, and I literally got let go 9 months in, and it was a big wake-up call. So, because I was in the process of pursuing real estate at that time, I was really learning. I mean, me and Sal were messing around with it a little bit. We went and knocked on a couple doors. Just kind of getting a taste, but we really weren't in it, right? You kind of just jerk around. Unless you're really committed to doing something, you go all out, you're all in, like, it's just, you're not going to see much progression. You know, you get told no here and there, and it's fun, right? It's like a hobby. But until you actually make the decision to go all in. And so it took me several months, and then I got fired, and I had a position to go in insurance again. The guy was great. I love the guy. I was going to do it. It was State Farm. But I really asked myself, I said, do I want to do insurance again, or do I want to go figure out real estate? And so what I did is I have no experience in real estate, and I don't have a license. So what I did is I went on LinkedIn, and I added every person that was in San Diego as much as I could. It was like 200 or 300 people that were agents in San Diego. I'd add them, and then I would message them after they added me. Because on LinkedIn, you can't message somebody unless you have them. It's a connection. So I had all these people, and I'm just sending the same message. Hey, my name is Shane. I'm, wanting to get in the real estate industry. I will basically do anything for you. I'll cold call, whatever. I'm looking to be more like an assistant for somebody to get my foot in the door. I do not have a license, but I'm willing to get one in the process. Basically, I'm just looking for somebody to take a chance on me, because I was trying to do, I was sending my resume through, Indeed, right? So I'm like, resume on Indeed, trying to get stuff, nothing, because I don't have experience in real estate, and I don't have a license, and that's what they want. So finally, after about 300 connections on LinkedIn, I had 3 people respond back saying, okay, I'll hear you out, like, let's meet up. And one wanted to do cold calling for commission only. The one was a legit company, and it seemed pretty legit. I didn't even know what I was going to do. But then I had this one lady who was in Carmel Valley, which is pretty upscale real estate. It's like middle class, but the homes are like over $1 million all day. So I'm like, okay, this sounds pretty cool. So anyways, meet with her, get on board with her. It was commission only, basically. She kind of paid me cash here and there, but I had a little bit of money still to get me by. Anyways, long story short, I was with her for only a couple months, learned some things, and we closed a $1.3 million house sale, which was like super awesome. It was exciting. I liked the process, and learned some basic stuff. But I knew it wasn't what I was going to want to do. I knew I wanted to be the investment side of real estate. I flip some houses and do stuff like that. And anyways, that relationship kind of went sour. Different story there, but
it's a funny story, actually.
You want me to tell?
Sure.
Okay. So, anyways, we closed the deal, and she pays me, and I'm supposed to be making a salary now from now on of $2,000 or whatever every month of a salary, and then we'll increase that later on after we start closing more deals and I provide value to the team, right? And we closed the first deal, and she ended up not making as much as she thought, because she spent on this and spent on this training and all this stuff. So she got a lot of this money pulled out, and so instead of making 30 grand on the deal, she made like 20, and she still paid me $2,000. But it was like 2 weeks later, she, we're working and stuff, and I'm like, hey, I gotta go I was gonna be gone for like 2 weeks or something. I said, hey, I can work, from home kind of thing, and because I'm setting these systems in place for her, all these different things. Yeah. And it's going really well. We're kind of getting some traction, and then she's like, I need that money back. I'm like, well, I haven't been paid for 3 months, so that money's gone, because it went to bills and stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna just keep the money, right? So, anyways, that she kind of just went sour. She's like, I can't really afford this. My husband has this and that, and
that's when all the excuses came after the deal closed.
Right after the deal closed, but I got paid, so I was like, okay. Very weird situation. I'm surprised she paid me, but anyways, besides the fact. So I just left. I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm gonna just roll. You know, I'm gonna just do this real estate thing on my own. And so I started marketing and spending money myself. And October, I started doing that, and I closed my first transaction April 2nd, 2019.
There you go.
Super cool feeling. Funny story too is I had to drive because escrow decided they didn't want to pay me through escrow. That deal.
Outside it?
They had to pay me outside, and because I didn't have a license, they were kind of freaking out, which can be typical in this industry. And this is my first deal, so I'm like, did I just lose that money?
Wow, yeah, you're all nervous.
And so I'm sweating balls the whole time because everything is riding on this deal. Because
you had a lot of money invested into the
I had
marketing
not just
and everything,
that, but I had no money. Okay, I drove from San Diego. I had to drive all the way up to Visalia here,
That's a mission.
and I had no money. I had enough to get gas and buy some snacks. I didn't have enough money in my bank account to get home. I had $20. Couldn't even fill the gas tank up to get home. And I'm here in Visalia, and my guy I was working with on this deal, I said, hey, I'm here. We closed. Where's my money? And he's like, I don't have it yet. I'm like, what do you mean? You know? And so I had to wait several hours later, trying to kill time here in Visalia. And finally, he's like, okay, swing by my office. I got it. Got the check. Go deposit it. And it's a cashier's check, which is supposed to act like cash. And of course, the bank over here holds literally everything except for $200.
Wow.
So I was able to get home. But it's just a funny story, everything's riding on that one thing. And ever since then, it's just...
I bet it was a huge learning experience, though, for you, right?
Oh, yeah. But it's the proof of concept is what it is. You see so many people, like, doing these deals in real estate and making money without a license and stuff. And it was the proof of concept, like, holy shit, I just did that. Like the first deal I made $12,500. And, I remember...
That's a good amount.
And I remember back, back at when the Wendy's days, that was more than a year at Wendy's. And that was just,
That totally
5 years ago.
Shifted your paradigm 100%, right? Like,
Well, it's like I knew it was possible. I knew, but until you actually get it done yourself, you do it yourself. It's just a different ballgame. The feeling, the knowing that I've done this, and knowing that since I've done this now, I can do it again. A lot of people get caught up on trying to bust through that ceiling because it's a ceiling. They've never actually really themselves have been above that level. So, and it's big. It's big money. It's money that I never even knew. I mean, I knew that one day I would make big money, right? Because that's what we implanted in our brains for freaking years, failing.
If it's not be it. If it's to be, it's up to me. Excuse me.
That's a good one.
If it's to be, it's up to me. I remember telling myself that all the time back when we were in network marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Just after going to these large events, getting all jacked up on energy drinks.
Yeah.
Talking about how we're not going to be nobody's slave.
Dude.
Talking about how 9 to 5, you're banging the drum.
Banging the drum.
You're driving yourself insane. I mean, early on, the entrepreneurial spirit was stirring inside me. Shane can probably say the same thing. Once you know what's out there and what possibilities and opportunities are there, it's almost crazy to go back to what you knew before.
And it's crazy is that there's a lot of people that have done that we know.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's fun
because it's safe, I think. And I'm
the
not
thing
talking
is that
but
that's the thing is that it's what we're trying to pursue and what we're doing. It is hard shit. It really is. It's not just hard in general. It's hard on your mind. It's hard on your emotions. You know, I can't even tell you, bro, and you can probably relate, of how many times, you know, I'd be driving Lyft and Uber and my car's going to be repossessed, right? I have to sleep in my car down in Pacific Beach, taking home the drunk people home to make some money to pay my car bill, right? All these things, you know, you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck am I doing? You know, like, really? I mean, is this really, like, is this gonna work? You know, because we've never tasted it. You know, we've never really tasted the success, and so that check that I made in April was that taste. You know, and I had made, you know, selling insurance. I made a little bit. I think my best month was like $8,000, which was a lot of money. I was 20 years old.
Yeah,
$8,000. I was like, holy shit! I took like 3 months off. You remember this?
I remember that. Yeah.
So, and it, you know, and that's kind of the whole part of ups and downs, because when you make some money and stuff, and you're like, oh, you got on your high horse and you ride around, and then you realize, oh shit, I got no money. You gotta hop off.
Celebrate, but too long.
Celebrate too long.
I've been there. You're not the only
one. And that's kind of like for me, you know, because I made some money, and I'm just like fucking blowing it, dude. I'm like blowing it because, you know, I've never had that much money, and so I'm going to these nice ass dinners in San Diego, buying some just the dumbest of things, right? And
living the good life.
Living what everyone thinks is the good life.
Yeah.
But man, it's funny because back then, right, when we were in network marketing, it was all about the Beamer.
That's what a lot of leaders, like the big leaders that were already making money, pushed. But granted, they were like 19 to 23, 25 years old. So, and they were making 10, 15 grand a month, a lot of them. But I agree with you. They pushed the wrong concepts. I think that they pushed that because it's what motivated young people.
But it's not just that. I'm just saying that back then, that's kind of what it was all about for us. Like, we're just like, you gotta get the Beamer, you know what I mean? Yeah. But, and it's funny even now as I see so many people making, just they're getting their own Beamers and just stupid sports cars when they're making nothing. I think it's, you know, and I just laugh now because I'm driving a 2012 Hyundai Elantra, and when I could be driving a Tesla.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's priorities. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish?
You think about that, though, because you have a business set up, so there's like some tax benefits.
Oh, yeah, there is. Eventually, I will get something nice. I plan on this next year. We'll see.
That's good. You're at least not on a budget, but you're aware that, hey, you got to sustain your lifestyle. And I think that that's where most people fall into the trap. I fell into my own trap of like starting to make good money and creating this lifestyle for yourself. And once you experience some sort of like life experience, or you know, once you're placed with a shitty hand, excuse my language, you got to figure out how you're going to keep moving forward.
And I think that's what 2020 has taught a lot of people, is we all got dealt shit hands, really. You know, a lot of things changed. It doesn't matter. I mean, even if business boomed for yourself, there were still a lot of changes. But I think a lot of people have been able to look at their priorities now. I think the biggest thing is, you know, trying to figure out having like a nest egg of some sort. I think so many people missed on that one. But there's a lot of lessons to take away from 2020. I mean, what would you say is something that you took away?
Shoot, man. I took a lot of lessons happened to me in the mix of identity. And I'll kind of elaborate on that. So I think that how we view ourselves and the perception that we have of who we are, like I know you guys are listening, and obviously I'm Steph the Pharaoh, Stephen Pacheco, whatever you want to call me, but in today's age, we have many, many labels, and when our own identity of how we want people to see us isn't in alignment with who we are in our core, sometimes we can battle that by what we're wanting to do in life, right? So for example, you're doing real estate, but I know you, that's not all you want to do. You care about the people around you, you care about your family. you care about helping the churches that you're a part of, giving back, tithing. So I know you deeper than surface level.
Yeah.
And
yeah, when you get to know, that's the thing, though. It's nice.
Yeah, but where I'm going with that is that there are so many people in the world, and you guys are probably only viewing what we allow you to see. And that's kind of why I wanted to start this podcast, because I believe at the end of the day, we all have a voice, we all have something to say. And people often fall in love, or they start to really follow people that are in alignment with them.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many times, you unfollow people because you're like, I don't really like what they're talking about. I don't like what they represent.
Yeah.
And I'm good. I'm good. I'm on a different vibe. And that's what this is. We're on that vibe of progression, of changing the community, being an impact, and legitimately helping others. I mean, I don't know you to be a selfish person. And back when we were younger, I know that there was a lot that went on, where we were in the drumline, like we were talking about. But I kind of want to go back a little bit, because we're obviously talking about where you're at. I think that this is important, and we'll revisit this.
Yeah.
But I want to go back for the people that don't know your upbringing. I mean, we don't got to get deep. We can, but we don't have to bring up every story. But kind of tell me, how has your childhood and your early upbringing and network marketing, how has that brought you to where you are today?
Man, it's a good question. There's a lot to that. I would say I think the biggest thing is what's made me who I am today, what's made me the trajectory of what I'm on, is basically like the disease that I have. For a lot of people don't know, and I mean, you didn't even really know until
I didn't
way
know
later
until
in
I
life.
was like 21. I was 21 years old, and I found out a really good childhood friend of mine has the sickness, and we were in high school together, and everybody picked on him, and I didn't really, I mean, you can not vouch for me, but however you saw it, I don't really think that I picked on you the way other people did. I just kind of allowed it to happen because it was funny.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's still bad of me, and now I don't stand for shit like that anymore. And to kind of see that, I mean, at the end of the day, my awareness has been brought to a different level. Not to say that I'm perfect by any means, but like when that goes on and I'm aware of it, I don't really feel like I stand up for it anymore, and I'll let it happen. But yeah, I didn't know. I found out when we were in network marketing, the couple of days we were going to, the few days prior, I had gotten you a ticket. We were going to Las Vegas for a convention.
Yeah.
And I found out that you had a disease that is pretty fatal amongst the people that it had impacted before. And so that, I mean, really, that was an eye-opener for me, man, because I'm like, this whole time, like, I had an idea of who you were, but I had no idea who the heck Shane was.
Yeah.
And like what he had to go through and the experiences. So yeah, it hurt me, man. I remember going back to my room that night, because you were staying at my house. It's me, you, and my brother. I remember going back to my room, you and my brother. I think you were sleeping in the living room, and we went to our rooms or whatever. And I kind of just like, dang, I felt really hurt. I kind of like teared up a little bit, and I'm just like, wow. Like, I just had no words. I had no words. And so kind of going back, what can you better explain what type of sickness that you have?
So I have a lung disease called cystic fibrosis. Okay, I was born with it. And basically, I've had to, go through my life having to do, every day I have to do treatments. I have to take a lot of medications. I have to take medication every time before I eat. It's basically what it is that it kind of affects the entire body. I like to kind of think of it as my body is kind of missing a link in the system that I have. So a lot of stuff kind of just like falls through the cracks. So gaining weight is hard, can be hard, because my body is kind of constantly fighting all the time, because my body is producing basically it builds up mucus in the lungs and can create bacteria and then can create pneumonia. So there's been many times, a lot of my hospital stays, because I would have to get IV antibiotics and be in the hospital for 2-week stays up in Valley Children's in Fresno.
I remember this in high school.
Yeah,
I remember you being gone.
Yeah.
I always thought he was on vacation.
Yeah, no one really knew, right? There was a couple times, one time in middle school, the class sent me like a cool, a nice card and stuff, get well and everything. But honestly, in the CF community, which we call it CF, cystic fibrosis, CF for short, it's very normal to go in to these hospital stays. And they like to think of it as like a tune-up on a car, like getting the oil changed, air filter. That's kind of like what we all view it as.
Checkup.
In my world, it's normal. For your world, it's like, holy shit, you're in the hospital. Are you okay? All these things, right? Big questions, right? My world, it's just, yeah, man, I'm just hanging out. And it's funny because when I would be in the hospital during my high school stays, or during school, because I only went in, I think, 9 times during my childhood, which is insane for people with what I have. They usually live in there, I think, the way I was raised, my dad was really strict on me doing my stuff, all my medications, the treatments and everything, and I played sports. So I feel like that combination right there is what kept me alive and kept me thriving.
Being active,
doing what you're, doing the treatments and stuff they recommend, basically staying clear, as much as clear as possible. Because once the mucus starts to build up, you can get an infection, just like pneumonia is usually the case. Yeah, excuse me. But so I played sports my whole life. I played football for like 10 years. And we did drumline. So doing drumline, it's somewhat active a little bit. I did some swim here and there. Just different sports and things like that. And then when I graduated high school, I played a lot of basketball. It's by myself. I didn't really, really have that team sport anymore. But anyways, yeah. So I would go in for 2 weeks, but it was kind of like playtime there. I didn't have school. I didn't do school stuff. And the cafeteria was open 24/7. So it'd be in 3 a.m.
Shane's always trying to eat.
We're all trying to eat. 3 a.m. going down, getting random stuff that the chef will make you. You're like, make me whatever. They'll make you whatever. But so it was fun. It seemed fun at the time. But what's crazy is that like the average life expectancy with the disease I have is 30. Right? When I was born, 30 years old, they were like your kid, average, it's looking 30. That's the average lifespan. So my upbringing was that, right? But I saw that, and here's the thing, is this is where kind of ties into everything I'm about. I literally, I kind of think of it like this. I literally walk with death on a day-to-day basis, right? Because I was told that I wouldn't live, all these things, right? My parents were told all these things. The statistics, right? The statistics told us this. And, I was in my senior year of high school. I was in my econ class. And we had this picture of the statistics of what you would make if by degree. If you just graduated high school, if you didn't graduate, if you got a degree, if you didn't get a degree, all this stuff, right? And people with a bachelor's degree, the average was like 60 grand or something, making a year. And then, it was based by percentages, right? And I'm like, well, what about the people that didn't graduate high school and are making a bunch of money? What's the difference between somebody that did that and, you know what I mean? I'm like, it doesn't, I think this is all bullshit. It's kind of like how I thought, because
I just think
I was told
they don't put the entrepreneurial spot in the category.
Never.
It's just
So when I saw that, I'm like, and my life growing up, I've, you know, my whole mentality behind everything is, I'm not going to be another statistic. You know, I'm not going to just be used as this another statistic to use in this category and blah, blah, blah. You know, because I'm supposed to be dead at 30. Clock's ticking. That's tough. I got 4. I turned 26 in February. So I got 4 years, supposedly, according to the statistics. Right? So I kind of use that to fuel me all the time. It's like a never-ending fuel to the fire or whatnot.
I admire that about you, though.
And
because
so
every time you come over, you're like, "What are we doing? Like,
well,
what's the plan?"
Yeah.
I mean, in a funny way.
At the same time, I'm a very chill person. I'm very understanding because of what I've had to go through, the amount of people I've had to see die at a young age, right? I've had many friends with the same disease that have died. And, you know...
Does that, again, bring you back to, like, the reality of what you're living?
It does. Again, it fuels me to be not a statistic. Fuels me, either way, you're a statistic, right? But I'm just like, I'm not going to be that status quo. Because if I am, I'm dead, right? If I just go along with the status quo, I'm dead at 30, right? If I look at the statistics, I'm dead at 30. So why even bother, right? If I look at statistics, I only graduated high school. I'm only supposed to make 20 grand a year, maybe on a good day, right? According to the statistics. So that's kind of what fuels me all the time, is that right there. And, you know, it's just crazy because the majority of people that have my disease, they don't even work. You know?
They let the disease kind of run their life?
Well, they do.
And it's,
you know,
I'm
just,
sorry for, like, saying it that way, but that's, like, I feel like some people just kind of...
And this is why I don't really associate myself a lot with people with my disease. Because it's very hard. It's a very, very negative community. Everybody is just like, fuck it, like F everything. Like, feel sorry for myself. F everything. You know, and
you're not even like that. You're a positive freaking person.
Complete 180. So it's like, that's the thing, right? Is, you know, you have two options. You know, two options. You could go with the status quo, or you can go against the grain. And I just love that. I just love being against the grain, being that guy that sticks out like a sore thumb, that everyone, and it's going to be funny when I'm 30 and, you know, because my goal is, you know, instead of being dead at 30, I plan to be a millionaire at 30, you know, which I think I'm going to get really quicker than that, but that's not the point. It's just kind of I've had that goal for a while, and it's just, you know, just flips it, right? It's kind of like a fuck you, right? I'm supposed to be dead at 30. No, well, fuck you. I'm going to be a millionaire at 30, right? So, like, my perception of life and the things I've had to go through, you know, like I said, like death and everything, a lot of people, especially in 2020, with this virus and crap, everyone's really afraid. And, you know, well, you're killing people by not wearing a mask or whatnot, whatever the thing is. The new thing is, these days that they put in the news, it puts people's, you know, their thinking in perspective, right? Like, with that. But for me, you know, it's kind of just like another thing, another
scare tactic.
Not just that, but just for a lot of the CF community that I've seen, it's kind of ironic because we usually have been the ones that have to, like, wear masks and, like, do these things, and it's like, for everyone to be doing it now, it's just kind of like this weird twisted thing they got going on. You know what I mean? It's just crazy how life is. But I'm super thankful for where I'm at, for where I'm going.
Your story is inspiring, to say like the very least. I mean, firsthand, because I witnessed a lot of it. I know we kind of touched on living in your car for a period of time.
Yeah.
But
And the thing is too is that I didn't want to be pitied my life, right? A lot of these people that have my disease are pitied, and they're all on disability, and they're making nothing, and that's kind of what they just go with. Well, I have this disease, I can't, and I'm just kind of like, instead of the why me, I'm like, try me,
I like that.
So, and
is that why you never told anybody about your sickness the whole time?
That's a great question, because growing up, right, you're a kid, you don't really know why. I think it was just because when I was a kid, I already got, I got picked on, and I didn't want to use that to make people feel sorry or like change the way they treated me. I really enjoy being the underdog in things. People look at me and they're like, there's no way this guy, especially with the disease. Like, there's no way this guy, he's supposed to be dead at 30. It just, that just twisted things. It's kind of just like it's a 180 shift.
You're just like the outlier.
The outlier, for sure. So, but I give all of that, all of where I'm at, all of who I've been, and all the past, the present, the future, everything to God. And that's I share that every once in a while. And one day I do want to get into speaking and, being able to share my story on a bigger level. And
we're here.
I know. And it's like, this is the first time where I've really like shared the story and share like who I am and what I'm doing and why I am the way I am,
And thank you, just really quick, for giving me the opportunity to speak with you on that level for people that you know.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people can be fearful when it comes to telling people about their vulnerabilities, and I don't view that as a weakness, and I know you don't as well. But again, thank you for just, being on the platform and sharing your story, because it's interesting, and I know it'll inspire people with other types of diseases and sicknesses. And I kind of want to dive in though on that statement about God. That's very controversial for a lot of people, but I know that that's not just a phrase that someone says. Like, Shane's very active, and he was very active in the church that he went to in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
He volunteered every weekend. He tithed all the time, and I know these things about Shane. I went to church with him a few times, not as much as he went, but also you went with my brother too as well on several occasions.
What's funny is that they're actually going to the same church now.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Of course, right when I leave, they start going. So.
But I want to tap into like what's your experience with God? Like, did you grow up religious, because we'll tap into that real quick, and then I want to bring in something a little bit. But
so God, man, I grew up 2 separate households. So both parents were divorced. I was only 4 years old. And so I grew up with 2 different things. And my mom and my stepdad, very religious, Christian, which I identify as a Christian. And we went to Church of Nazarene in Porterville back when it was the small place over there off Indiana and Henderson corner. Grew up going there probably every other Sunday because I was at my dad's other half. My dad, he always says he believes in God, but he's never really talked about it, So growing up,
it's just kind of one of those things, right? Like,
well, we never went to church.
Oh, okay.
We never went to church. My dad never did any of that stuff. Never talked about stuff. But what's weird is that we always prayed at night. We said our prayers together, which was just a repeated prayer every night, same thing every night. It wasn't anything different. I think it's like the Lord's Prayer, whatever it is. So we did that, which was cool. It was, that's something my dad taught me about, that of God's side is, saying prayers every time before you go to sleep, which is cool. That's something I look forward to doing with my kids eventually. But other than that, my dad's side, nothing. Now my mom, we always, usually we'd pray before we ate, things like that. But we went to the church, and honestly, growing up, it was just so boring. I'd fall asleep. We were always falling asleep in church and stuff. And
I think as kids we can always say that we fell asleep or two.
Yeah. We were just hanging out. We were just trying to hang out with the other kids. We're not even. I don't know. Jesus, what? You're just hanging out with friends and stuff. So when I was a kid, that's kind of how it was. And then, really, it wasn't until I was always pretty into God, but not like. I would say it wasn't until I really started going through trials and tribulations.
100%
is when I really started, because you got to lean on something, right? And
because you don't have all the answers.
Yeah, and the thing is like when no one around you, especially with us, right? Because we don't have. Our parents are great. We love our parents.
Yeah.
But like for me, mine were not real supportive of what I was going for. So I was again against the grain on
every box.
On every box, every whatever. Everyone was kind of like, geez, Shane's kind of off the deep end. I mean, straight up, my whole family. I mean, I love my family to death. I love them all the time.
Yeah.
We're always hanging out and stuff. It's a great time. Now, it's a great time. But before, several years ago when Vima and all this, and we're kind of just like, I was very, what's the word? Not confident, but cocky. I was cocky at that time. So doing that, I kind of, like I said, burned bridges, and people started viewing me differently, like that guy's a douchebag.
I think we all were kind of cocky in that time frame.
Yeah.
I learned a lot just about myself in general. So I'm following.
So like I move up there to Sacramento, and I'm just like by myself, and I didn't even go to church up there. But that's when I really started to like just kind of tap into like God spiritually myself. Not even really reading the Bible, nothing like that, but just talking. I like talking to God, not so much entering prayer with God, just more like I'm just so open. That's kind of like what I like. That's what I feel about it. I like to pray for others. About praying for others. I'm not over here trying to be like, God, please make me rich. Like fix this and fix that. It's more like, if I'm praying for that, it's more like, God, please give me the strength and the courage to keep pushing, because I know, because my trust is in you, and I know that no matter what, you got me. And that's like that's how I am. My full trust is always in him, no matter what happens.
I don't know if you guys felt what he just said, but I definitely felt what he said, and there's a difference between saying it and being confident when you say it, and the feeling the feeling that you just gave me right now is the feeling that I get when my grandfather prays. And it's very like, it's with conviction, it's with knowing 100% that God's got you. Like what he just said, like knowing 110%, because we don't have all of the answers. We can't rely on our own human senses and judgment and brain. Like in all reality, we're a mere image of what God is like, but we'll never understand fully to the level we need to. And that's crazy because all we have is our own perspective. And I can go on this topic forever. I wanted to hear what you had to say and your own feeling and what it means to you, because everybody thinks of religion and God as something totally different. That's okay. That's okay as long as people can kind of identify or have somewhat of the understanding that we do, hopefully better at the end of the day. But all we can do is plant seeds, and I think people will often miscomprehend what prayer is.
Yeah.
You know, they think of it as praying to this guy in the sky, but in all reality, like, you're speaking. They say our words are like swords. You know, what we say, and it's powerful. And that's why people's feelings get hurt when you say some types of things, because it can impact you on a psychological level. And I'll get carried away on this topic forever, but in the Bible, it talks about, and I don't want to sit here and sound like I read the Bible every day, but there are bits and pieces that I've been able to take and practically apply it to my life. Like, number one, be a good person. Act and treat your neighbor with love. Treat your neighbor as thyself. That's why I talk about empowering others. Like, in all reality, like I'm saying, it all goes back down to these basics. Be a good person. Treat others how they want to be treated. And continue to speak positivity, to speak confidence, to pray for people. Yesterday, man, I just found out John, we were in Pismo, his co-worker has COVID, and he tested positive for COVID. And instantly, I dropped my phone, and I was like, I just started praying. I just felt compelled to pray. It was one of those moments where I stood there, and I kind of started crying, in a way, but praying. Like, God, pray for my buddy John, pray for his girlfriend Destiny, pray for my family, everybody that is here. Pray for healing and a fast recovery. I rebuke and bind everything that is in his body that's sickness, Lord. That's not of you. You didn't give us that. That's of this world, and
that's definitely, I'll say that's definitely something that I. One of the things that I really enjoyed doing when I would go worship at church was go to the very end, the back of where everyone was at, behind the whole congregation. And I love to just spread my arms like this and just pray, basically just praying over everybody. It's like a tsunami of prayer. But
I bet you though, on a spiritual level, like, could you say? Because I've experienced something different when I went there, and I'll explain that to you here, but for you, is it a feeling you get too? Would you say that when you're, explain that just so I don't...
The feeling?
Yeah, like
praying or the feeling of
both,
just
both. Being in a presence of
God.
Yes. People, God, the Spirit.
It's kind of like it can be kind of like an out-of-body experience for sure. You can kind of feel weightless. You can kind of feel, there's several types of feelings you can feel that I have felt personally. And it's just, that's what I would say it as. It's just like for me, when I would do it, it's kind of like just praying to kind of like take away the pain of people and all the bad things, whatever circumstances people are going through. Because I've been through it, so I know the pain people are going through, and it's like, I would wish that upon nobody, right? It's like, and we can go on this topic forever and ever, but it's just, this is why with God, I just trust 100% everything. Whatever happens, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens on this life, it doesn't matter. But because I'm here, I'm going to do everything to glorify Him and get to this level to show that, like, hey, God, and I did it the right way, right? Like, I didn't do it the schemy way or the scammy way or the sleazy way, or, I want to do it the right way, and be able to go show that to God one day when I be in heaven. So if I'm blessed enough to get to heaven, that'd be great. And go up there and show, hey, this is what I was able to do. Like, this is what the lives I've changed. I hear so many people like that talk about, kind of, I'm just focused on myself, and like a lot of people are just focused on themselves and their families and stuff. But man, my whole life, all of my goals, literally everything is for everybody else around me, my family, my friends. Like, it's like, if you become a close friend with me, you know, it's like I would die for you, or I would do anything for you. And yeah, that's just kind of the person I am. But I know you're pretty much the same thing too. So that's kind of how we've been able to stay.
Yeah.
We've stayed in such close, great friends for so many years now, despite not even being good friends in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both, what we've understood is that we're both givers.
Yeah.
We can both give and do things. My thing, like if you're one of my friends, like I'm really big on acts of service. And even in relationships, I've known that. I've come to know that about myself. I do a lot of acts of service. So I will do a lot for you, even though sometimes I don't want to, but it's my way of showing you like, hey, let's do it. You know?
Yeah.
And I think I've learned that from like my family. It's, you know, it's a way we show love in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to tap in about your experience just with God, the Most High. And the reason I say these things is because I don't want to sit here and act like I know everything. Obviously, you guys know that I talk about that a lot, and we have our own experience, and all we can do is really share that with you and plant those seeds. But the reason I was asking you is because when I went into C3 at that time, there were a few times where I had gone by myself. I didn't tell anybody where I was going. I was in like this weird limbo of being happy and not happy. And there was this time where like I was making a lot of money and I got myself out of debt and I had no more debt and I was buying nice things and I had a nice car and I had everything right, but like inside it just didn't feel good.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy. Like I was looking in a mirror and I was just like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
You know, why am I not excited right now? Like what's going on? You know, and I remembered that day specifically, man. I went and did all of the things I could possibly do in my power to try and make me happy. And it was like a day that I had to myself. It was my day off from my busy life in San Diego being an insurance agent. I don't know what you guys were doing at this time, but it was in 2017. And I was just like, what's going on? Why am I not happy? Why do I feel like crap right now? And that night, I ended up going to church. Random. I ended up going to church, man. And what was crazy is that day, I thought I ran over a nail in my truck, but I never checked. My intuition, I heard something go off and it sounded like I ran something over. I'm like, nah, whatever. I didn't check it. I was on the highway, didn't get off. I went home, still didn't check it. I go inside and I'm feeling like crap, right? And then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go to church. I asked Drew and Zach if they wanted to go at that time. And everybody's like, nah, I'm good. I go, okay, whatever, I'm going to go to church. So I show up to church and stuff. And, it was my first time there at that church in C3 in San Diego. And it was interesting, man. Like, I don't really know how to put it, but I walk in, just by myself, sat in the back. And when the prayer and the music came, tears out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Nowhere
And
just start coming
sure.
out. And, wow, and I just start closing my eyes and what I can say that God is, or the presence, or the Spirit, for me, I've witnessed it. Maybe to not like the extent of whatever other people have experienced, but for me personally, it was like this magnetic pull.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way I'll explain it, if you ever watch Dragon Ball Z, when Goku takes the death bomb from like Frieza, and it's like this big old thing. Well, that's what it feels like when you're plugged in and you raise your hands or you speak, or that's what I feel. On a very, very deep level, man. I pick up on energies, vibes, all of that, and ever since then, I've been trying to figure out what it was and how to feel that again in a way, but also by like prayer and stuff. So like every church I go to, I feel that same thing. I went to non-denominational churches like what I was raised in. I went to Catholic churches. Although I didn't really experience anything there ever, not to say it's bad or anything, but just for me, what I felt, I've gone to Pentecostal churches, and they're super powerful experience, man. I mean, everybody's speaking in tongues and all that.
Yeah, crazy.
It's a frequency. It's a frequency, and when there's so many people believing in the same thing in one area, that pull is intense. So I'm just reliving what it was in that moment for me, but it was that like presence. And what the interesting thing was, people came behind me at the church, and they put their hands on me and that, like on my shoulders, and then just more tears came out, and instantly afterwards, I felt so relieved. I felt like I had no issues. I felt like all the weight's gone. All of that void that was in me that day was gone. And I was like, wow, this is what like my soul yearned for, needed ultimately. And so I've had these spiritual, experiences over the course of my life. And I tell everybody, man, I like to think of my life as like this spiritual journey. And I know it sounds weird because everybody's not doing that, but it's what I know, and it's how I'm continuing to live. So if you know me and you're around my circle, like, I'm praying for you. When I say that, I don't just say that, like, I actually do it.
It's legit.
I do it. And so, like I said, I know we can be on this topic forever, and sorry, we didn't even get into explaining, but right now we're at the beautiful park next to where I live, and there's practice going on. There's a whole bunch of life, and I like being surrounded by nature. And
it's pretty cool.
And things that are going on, because this just goes to show that we're only a mere speck in the universe, and we have to influence people with words, with our actions, and ultimately what we're doing. And it just goes back again to why I'm doing this show and why I want to gain different perspectives, because there's millions of people that are out there that are seeking, that are like-minded. It might not be on this level, but it might be on a lot of other things like real estate. But there are many layers to the human experience, and that's the crazy thing. I know that I've never really gotten this maybe deep with you before. But this is what I like. It's so interesting to be able to uncover like what people go through. And I know for you, you've had a lot of faith throughout the period, because I mean, from when you were living in your car, bro, I mean, not like forever, but it was like a couple instances. Did you, I mean, you had to have faith, right? In those moments?
There's really nothing else there is, I mean, you just, but it's, it's a prime example of faith without works is dead. That's what they say, right? Because you can have all the faith in the world, but if I wasn't doing the work, like doing the Lyft, doing the Uber, like I could sit there and pray all day about how, to save my, because my car was getting repossessed.
You make a good point.
I could sit here all day and just pray about it, do nothing, and it's going to get repossessed. I mean, the guy's going to roll up, he's going to take the car. And who else,
he's not going to care if
I'm not sure. I can't sit here and say that the magical check in the mail would or would not come, I don't know.
But that just goes to show that faith, action
is required.
And vision, like you have to have all three. You can't just pray and have the vision. You can't just have the vision and do the work. I mean, you can to an extent, but I feel that God will humble you in many ways to kind of lead you back to the right path, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things to learn. I mean, we're all on a journey. We're all on each other's different journeys, right? So we're all got different destinations. All of us, it's all different. But the biggest thing is just some people, the God thing, like they don't even know, but they are exposed to it constantly, or they're relying on it all the time, and they don't even know it's a God thing happening. Which is, people, it's just some people call it something else, and for me, a lot of Christians, we kind of get labeled as like these crazy people, who shame you if you're not this and shame you if you're not that.
But there are people that do that.
And there's a lot, and I have family members that are like that, and that's who they are. I can only be who I am and show the reflection of myself and do what I can control, right? So
I don't really know you to condemn people for what they do or believe in,
and it's not about that. It's not about that.
It's like a maturity thing, though. I mean, at the end of the day, in the mindset.
It's definitely a maturity thing, but it's just understanding that everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's going to their own destination. And hey, look, man, if you're a Christian, cool. If you're not, that's cool too.
Same
you know,
here.
I get it. It'd be cool if you became a Christian too, like me. And if you want to talk about that more, you know, we could sit down, have some coffee, and talk about it. But you know, I'm not over here trying to like press that upon everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you know, read your Bible and this, that. Like, I don't even read my Bible as much as I should.
You want to hear a
Not
crazy
even
story
close.
really quick?
Yeah.
So I've encountered in my last gig, I was doing appointments, I was selling solar roofing windows. I encountered a lot of different people amongst different religions, and I never once judged anybody based on that. I've sold projects to Muslims. I never batted an eye, and the reason they love me and they told me, they were like, when we brought up our religion, Ramadan, and all this other stuff that we do for our like religion, you never like, we watched your facial expressions as we explained, and we never felt like you were judging us.
Yeah.
And they liked me, man. And I didn't judge them, because at the end of the day, we're human. We're human. Yeah. You know, whatever we believe in, like, that's great and dandy, but like, we're human. We're here. We have to coexist together. And I've even, here in Visalia, there's, I'll show you the area, but I sold windows to a couple of people that don't believe in God at all, that identify as atheists, that even run groups on Meetup.
Oh, wow.
As atheists. And I straight up told them, okay, like I allowed them to speak their truth as they know it, and I didn't judge them for that. And obviously I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I felt judged.
Yeah.
In that moment, because I said I straight up don't believe that. Like, not like that, but I was just like, oh, okay. Like, it was interesting how I uncovered that about them, but they were like, oh yeah, we run these meetup groups and yada yada. I'm like, oh hey, well, what's the meetup group? They're like, oh, well, we're atheists, so we don't believe in God, and we do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, so what do you guys talk about, or what do you do? And what was interesting, and what I tried to leave them with, man, was being positive. And they don't have a lot of that positivity.
Yeah.
They rely on like what they can see. And I don't want to judge anybody. If you're watching this and you identify as being atheist, like, hey, I don't not view you any different. Like, that's something that you go through and that you're doing, and I respect you for doing that.
It's all love.
Yeah, but on the retrospect, all I can say is, like, one thing about me is I tend to try to be optimistic and view the positive and extract the lessons, even though it's not always what I want. And
of course,
I feel like that's a growth mindset, and that can be like a healthy mindset. But at the end of the day, like, to each their own. You know?
That's kind of like, you know, I'm the same way. But again, you know, I get to walk with death every day, you know. So
yeah.
Like, it's different, you know. Like when I tell people my story, and I don't really tell people my story. You know, I don't go in the depth of what I have. I mean, there was a time where I had just started that new corporate job down in San Diego. Okay. And I got sick, and I needed to get IV antibiotics in me, and basically I had to be in the hospital for 2 weeks, but I was new and I could not be there. Okay. So what I told my doctor, I said, hey, I can't go in. So he's like, okay, we'll do them from home. So what I had to do was I had an IV, it's called a PICC line, in my arm for two and a half weeks. And I went to work every day. So I had this freaking fanny pack thing. What I did is I just put that in my
basketball bag.
So what I did is, instead of wearing a fanny pack, because that was not the fashion trend at that time, and I can't pull it off.
Yeah.
So I put my gym bag. I wore my gym bag all day. That's what happened. So I would put that in there. I would have IV going all day long working, and I just never took my gym bag off. And people would be like, so I went to work for the next 2.5 weeks doing that, and they, you know, I had one person. She asked me, she's like, "Why'd you take your gym bag off?" And I'm like, I just basically just tuned her out and just ignored her. And just didn't say anything.
Wow.
You know, but eventually after that, after I got done with all that stuff, she asked me again later at a later date. She's like, "Hey, why were you wearing your gym bag?" And I told her. She's like, "Are you serious?" You know, she's just freaking out.
Whatever it takes, people. That's what I'm telling
And
you.
it is. It really is. It's whatever it takes. And so, you know, everyone's going through their own little thing. You know, their own little thing. And some people may. I just view this as my little thing. Some people may view it as like, "Holy shit, that's a huge thing." But that's just in my world. It is what it is. These are the cards I'm dealt with, and I'm gonna freaking play to my strengths, you know, and roll with it. So
that brings me back to a thought.
Yeah.
That I, well, not a thought. It brings me back to a memory. Over the summer, I had an opportunity to meet Mike Tyson. This was by like a whim of luck. Right place, right time. I like to think of it as I was on the right frequency for all of these things to happen, because it was just like within a blink of an eye. Like it was a whim of a decision to even go eat at Ike's sandwich shop in Hillcrest. And I only had gone there because the other vegan places around were closed, and I was trying to go home.
Yeah.
And I meet Mike Tyson. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is because in the moment I had told him, I was talking about my brand and how I've experienced adversity, and he was just like, the interesting thing about perspective is that everybody has a different understanding of what adversity is.
Yes.
And he was like, I know people that lost $10 million, they call that adversity, and I know people that lost $10,000 and call that adversity.
Yeah.
So he's like, adversity is what you identify as adversity 100% of life. So, and that was interesting because like he paused me in mid-thought and he went all in, like, nah, like not belittling what I was saying, but just giving me a different perspective to view it as. And that empowered me because I'm like, shoot.
That's what it's all about. Because that's what I talk about all the time is about keeping things in perspective. Like, I always think about this all the time, is that there's people who can't eat right now. You know, and I live in, you know, especially in the times we're in right now with this election crap and all these things, all these protests and stuff, and I'm just so blessed and happy to be able to go outside of my house and walk around with free will. Like, it's just, people take so much for granted because you go to these third world countries and, you know, they're ran by these tyrants and you don't even know because the news doesn't feed you that crap, and because you've never been there. And so that's why for me I try to digest things very slowly nowadays because there's so much misinformation. Like, just reposting something I really try not to do now because there's just so much misinformation out there, you know. And like, they talk about, oh, well, this guy's done this, and it's like, well, is it true? I mean, I don't know. Like, was I with that person?
Can I go and check? And
you know, was I with that person?
You have a good point.
Because they talk about like how, oh, this person committed this crime. They talk about how, like, not to get into politics, but just they talk about how Trump has done all these bad things. Okay, but were you there? Right? Like, was I there with Trump and heard him? Like, I'm here with you right now and seeing who you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And seeing what we're doing. It's very hard to like find a trusted source these days and like take in that kind of information. It's just very unfortunate because we're just fed so much crap and
we're being pulled. Our energy is being pulled in all these different directions.
Yeah.
And it's allowing us to get flustered inside, and it's making us go outside and view our neighbors as, oh, you believe in that. Here's the finger, like, you know.
And that's what I was talking about, like, you know, getting off Instagram and stuff, because there's just so many people that repost just dumb shit, and you're just like, bro, how can you post something like that and spread that kind of misinformation, or just blatantly believe that in general? It's just, you know, we're just kind of, it's like the first thing we hear out of the sky, we just take it and we just throw it on and feed it to everybody, and it's like a tug of war of negative, you know, energy and stuff like that. Because there's definitely been times where I'm just like, man, I want to comment on this person's post so bad.
You don't want to waste the energy though, right?
And I was talking to, I forgot who I was telling the other day, but there was someone posted something on Facebook, and I literally stared at it for 15 minutes because I'm like, I'm in just such shock and disbelief of like how someone could be that,
Passionate,
arrogant about posting something that is clearly not true, but because it's the far left or far right side, they reposted it because it's just, it falls into their belief level, and it's just, and no one's questioning anything, but that's a whole nother freaking thing to get into. And so I don't even watch the news.
I don't either.
I love sports. I like and some people are like, well, why do you waste your time watching sports? It fuels me to see these people at such a high level, and it gets me fired up to be more like that, to be that more committed into what I'm doing. Like how committed they are on their craft of, like Tom Brady. He's so committed on his craft. Dude's like 43 years old, still playing football. He's been playing for over 20 years now. I mean, it's crazy. And so just seeing like how intricate and how precise he is with stuff, it inspires me to be, it just shows me I can be, I want to do something like that.
I mean, we have no limits. Our potential is infinite. It's limitless. The only limit that you have is the limit that you set. Yeah, that you set for yourself in your own mind. And that's interesting to speak out loud, because I actually believe that. But it's hard to often convince people that that's the reality, because they're stuck on the excuses of why they cannot win because of their belief system. So that's a biggie. That's a biggie right there, right? Yeah, and I had to identify.
And I could sit here and I could just hop on disability and be like, woe is me. But I'm not trying to make $1,000 a month. I'm trying to make $1,000 every minute. So no, I'm just kidding. It's not about the money, but it's just,
I think it's about what you can do with it, though, when you know that you don't have limits.
But the thing is, and the thing is too, is that like, I think the key to all that is, it's not about what we're going to give when we make that money. It's about what we give right now. Like there's been times where I've had no money in the bank and I still tithe. I still give. Right? Like, because you believe, you trust God. Right? Back to this whole God thing. Whatever you believe in, you believe. Right? And so that's how I've rolled. And I think tithing and giving like that is just going to continue to come back to me tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000. You know what I mean? It's just this big snowball effect, And that's why, for me, like, kind of my mantra is the secret to living is giving.
I saw that on, I think it was your Clubhouse profile.
It's on my Instagram too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on a couple things. But yeah, there you go. Yeah. I feel very passionate about that for sure. Yeah, it's just a little thing, man. But money is what we tie everything into. Money is money is everything, right? Because we have to use money for everything in our lives. It is what it is. This is what it is, right? So, taking your money, it's a big deal. I don't got any money. No, find the money and go give the money. I can't tell you, man, like how many times I would make money on Lyft and Uber and stuff, and I would tithe. When I had no money, I would tithe. Tithe $20 here, even if it was freaking $5, man. Like last penny. It's what are you willing to give up? And I always, the kind of thing is, I go back to, I could lose everything today, and I'm cool, because I know what to do. I have the knowledge. Kind of comes back to the whole journey of, I left the valley, and now I'm coming back, and I'm coming back to freaking fuck shit up. Like,
Your eyes are
like
open,
seriously,
right?
because
The
I'm like,
opportunity, the potential,
it's
your
just
own strengths.
that, and everyone around here, man, they lazy. Everyone is super lazy, and I mean, people in San Diego were lazy. So, and I grew up on a 10-acre ranch, so I've worked. I know what work is,
Okay.
and now it's like transpiring. It may not be baling hay or bucking bronc or something, but it's a different type of work. It's all in the mind. And obviously, there's things I have to go, drive around and meet people and stuff. But it's the mindset and the work ethic in the mind is what it's about.
So now, I mean, we've covered a lot of your story. Coming back, you've dropped a lot of knowledge, a lot of, I feel like, practical things for people. Just in talking about your story, practical things as far as like mindset goes. And the one thing that I want to recircle and revisit is with you knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself, or anybody listening that is younger or older, what kind of advice would you give them in 2021, for 2021?
Any advice? Is it just general advice?
It can be just general advice.
I mean, I would say basics. Love others for sure. Just be understanding. Continue to be understanding and stuff, and send love to everybody, and no hate. Like, no, we got enough hate and negativity in 2020 and a lot of bad shit. I think we've kind of seen that. It would just be nice to see, because you can feel the tension.
Oh yeah, when you go into
you walk into stores, you could feel the tension, and everyone's just uptight and freaking out. And I just want, it just would be nice to see, see some faces, have some laughs, man. Like, just enjoy the journey. Do what you love, man. Figure out what your strengths are. Figure out what you're passionate about. Just do what you love. It ain't about the money. It ain't about the cars. It ain't about anything. It ain't about the clothes.
Over here singing the song.
I know. The hose. So it ain't about any of that stuff, man. It's just, do what you love, and you're never going to work a day in your life. It's so true. You figure out what you love doing. I love helping people. That's what I do. It just happens to be in real estate, right? It's all about, for me, it's just all about being a solution to someone's problem. I want to provide value wherever I can, even if I don't get to flip that house. As long as I can point those people in the right direction to help them, that's good. That's good enough for me, man. That makes me happy. I'm happy that they're figuring out what to do on their next move, because we got, there's always going to be something else around the corner. That's already came back to me before. I've had people come back and they're, hey, I got my brother this, that, Or I've had a real estate agent reach out to me and, hey, your name came across my desk multiple times, that you're good. I need you to help this person. Oh, cool. Yeah, dude, it's just, it just comes full circle, and it's the best feeling. So that's what I would say. Do what you love. Just make it happen.
I can say the same thing as far as guiding people even though they don't go with you. I mean, being in sales, I'm sure you've learned that over time. And you can't stress about those things at the end of the day. You just got to do it with the right intention and heart.
Yeah.
Pay it forward.
Don't be sleazy.
And obviously, you guys, you can see it's getting dark, so we'll be wrapping up this episode. But Shane, so 2020, how did you end the year with your business?
We survived. I did do my biggest deal this year, which was really cool. But mainly, I knew I was leaving San Diego, so I really just kind of took a step back and just kind of soaked it all in and enjoyed the moment. Didn't really work too much in the second half. I did some deals and stuff, but Nothing what the goal was said to do. You know, the goal I put on the company was to do 500,000, and we didn't get anywhere near that. But you know, I'm blessed to be back here, super thankful, and ready to kind of make it, you know, just continue to make it happen this year and see what I can do.
What was your biggest deal 2020?
Biggest deal actually was land. I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for it because I could have bought it for under $5,000.
Wow.
And I ended up letting another guy buy it. He got it for 38 or something like that. So I ended up making $32,000 on it. But that same property, he ended up not even touching it, and he sold it this last month for $105,000.
Wow.
So I could have had it for $5,000 and could have made $100,000 on one deal.
How long did he have it for?
Just 6 months, I think.
And I think it's probably because real estate's like appreciating during all this kind of going on.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we closed it in April, and it was a hell of a deal because the guy lived in Utah. I was following up. This guy would only have his phone on one day a week. His phone. Older guy in Utah, and
imagine that,
dude. Man, he was so hard to get a hold of. I have all the text messages and stuff. I've saved all the screenshots.
You posted it, right? I think
I did post it. Yeah, because it's just such a good. It's a great example of what it takes to get a deal sometimes, and the amount of follow up on people. Because people, they get busy. There's like these properties I deal with. These people, they are in such distress situations. They don't think there's a way out. That's kind of what it is. They don't think there's a way out, and so you're like that beacon of light in the way off distance, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, there is a way out of here, you know. And you're that way. It's the greatest feeling for sure. So, but yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Now, I know you gave your advice for 2021.
Yeah.
We're kind of going to be wrapping up. This is episode number 8 of Luxic Vue Mindset. Number 8. Yeah, it was a good one, Shane. Honestly, thank you for having me. Thank you for wanting to do this live. Today's January 4th. Yeah. This will air tomorrow. We'll just get it on there.
Cool.
I'm excited, though, for this year, first and foremost. I mean, there's a lot of change. I know I'm not speaking too much like on my own personal life at the moment. I feel like I'm going through a lot of uncertainty as well, just different things. But stick with it, guys. Like, honestly, understand that people are going through a lot. Everybody is.
Yeah.
And if you can just try to understand where people are coming from, like actually try to understand, it'll set you up for success. Sometimes we feel like, even I sometimes feel like I'm always trying to understand people, but oftentimes I've been neglecting those around me. And so like I'm dealing with my own issues and circumstances. However, I'm trying to grow from those, those hands that I'm being dealt. And that's all we can do. Just grow every day. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and conclude episode number 8 of Luxic Vue Mindset. Thank you for tuning in. Shane, it was a pleasure having you, brother. Honestly.
Always.
With that being said, guys, doubt kills. Embrace now this moment that we're in, and live your legacy. Peace.